It was Albert Einstein who said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress and giving birth to evolution." Imagine a dating app such as the Boardroom, where professional individuals redefine dating. Their mission is to help forge meaningful connections, transcending instant gratification. On the Boardroom, one will experience mindful and intentional interactions with fellow professionals. They ensure authenticity through LinkedIn verifications. And as an invite-only platform, they curate a select network of potential matches who are dedicated to building genuine relationships. Welcome to my conversation with Serisha. Serisha is a remarkable tech entrepreneur, co-founder and CEO of Boardroom. Hi, Serisha. Thank you for coming to the Merge podcast and welcome. I cannot thank you enough. I know you're a very busy lady, but you set a time aside to come and talk to us here on the podcast. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, and definitely looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, lovely. We are so happy to have you here. I was going to ask you about your journey with entrepreneurship, if you had always been interested in entrepreneurship, or you've had always been having an interest in starting something, something great, something that will change the world. And as a female tech entrepreneur who has a passion for promoting social justice and economic development, I would like us to go through your early years and when you were now starting to shape your career, and take us through some of the work that you do so that we can better understand who is Serisha Barrat.
Amazing. I always love that question because it takes me back to my teenage years. I started my first business when I was 18 years old. And that conceptualized after being a promoter at different stands within the Rosebank and Sandton Mall just to earn additional income. And then the one day I said, why am I the promoter? I should be able to open a business that can provide these promoters to people so that I can be chilling at home and still be making money. So I started a business with my best friend, running a promotion company from the age of 18. So that's pretty much when my entrepreneurship journey started. And it's been almost 10 years of being an entrepreneur, but solely an entrepreneur for the last 8 years, which has been incredible. And just being within the tech space has been liberating and encouraging to other women within the African continent. And just looking forward to what the future brings for me within the tech space and being in Africa. I started a legal tech platform democratizing access to legal about 3 years ago called Lawyered Up. And that's been quite a journey, being able to foster entrepreneurship from a compliance perspective to SMMEs and startups. So that's been quite interesting. And just being able to cause or impact on a positive slate has been liberating for me. Being able to give back hours to gender-based violence has been great, especially because it's something that comes from a personal space. So and then we at Boardroom, and now we are here speaking about dating for professionals.
Yes, and everybody's been talking about it. And what is the genesis of the Boardroom? How did it even come about, the idea of a professional dating app?
So I think being a professional myself and just being an entrepreneur for the last 8 years has been lonely. I haven't dated in 2 years. And just given the state of the last relationship and why it ended, it was because I'm always busy. And, having to give that time in a relationship while being an entrepreneur came at a cost that I was unable to give at that point. I was building my business. And there were so many regrets around that. And then I found myself sitting 2 years later and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have not gone on a date. And nothing has come out of me even wanting to step out my house, to be honest. I enjoy being at home with my dog. When I think about a dating app, it's quite cringy. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not really the hookup type. So like, what would I even download? Like, where am I going to find this?
Yeah.
And weird enough, brainchild of a South African software engineer, Wisani,
Yeah.
we decided to join forces on creating this platform to enrich people's lives in response to challenges that are faced by not just us being professionals, but many professionals out there seeking genuine love,
Yeah.
part of our hectic lives and not having that time to give back to a relationship and going out, would something like Boardroom work? And what would I be looking for in a dating app
Yeah.
if I were to download? Is what pretty much Boardroom would be. I want to be able to find a certain caliber of individual, someone that I can build with as well. I would much prefer to have someone that is similar or in a similar space, someone that is professional, a platform that's vetted. I want to maybe check out your LinkedIn. So we were like, okay, well, let's just add all of this in. And it's been such an incredible journey. He is a phenomenal engineer. He's just so great at what he does. It's been incredible just working with him.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know what? I'm just so impressed and taken aback with your ingenuity. You saw that. Hey, hang on, I haven't been going on dates. I haven't dated for 2 years. And where do I start? And the idea came from your own experience. And I'm taken aback also by your bravery to say, okay, this is what I'm identifying. I'm sure I'm not the only one going through this. What could the solution be? And that is just amazing.
Actually, Wasani, he actually
Yeah.
said, you know what, this is going to be an incredible idea and this is how I'm going to build it out.
Yeah.
And just with his skill set, it's been such a seamless journey. It's been really, really cool to work with such an amazing co-founder.
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome. And how does it work? The app, the Boardroom app.
Yeah, so it's available on iOS and Android at the moment. So
Okay.
you are able to download it from the App Store. It's going to ask you to fill in your LinkedIn information. So sign up with LinkedIn. So you're going to need to have your email address, your login details from LinkedIn. That pulls across to Boardroom. Once you've logged in and signed up, you won't be able to interact on the platform as yet until you've been verified. So on our end, we will get who you are, where you're from, what type of job do you have. Do you have a profile photo that is linked on LinkedIn as well as the Boardroom app? Does it coincide? Is it the right person? Do the emails coincide? Do the names coincide? So we go through quite a vigorous vetting process to see that it's a safe space that we're creating, that it is a fully vetted space that we're creating, and it's for working professionals, all types of working professionals. We're not necessarily saying, oh, it needs to be a director or a CEO, but we would like to have it be one of its kind, actually. There's no platform that is a dating platform that is directed solely to working professionals. And once we've verified you, it takes about 24 hours. And then you're able to transact. You're also given a code. So once you get verified, you get a little tick on Boardroom, and then you're given a code to share it with 5 individuals. So you only have 5 people to share that code with, and we're trying to keep it an invite-only application as well. So only if you're invited to the platform will you then be allowed onto the platform. That's pretty much how it works right now.
And the LinkedIn verifications, I know you this is where you verify and vet. If I come up and say I'm a lawyer, indeed I am a lawyer. Perhaps which schools did I even go to be a lawyer? This information now that you would have collected in order to verify me, would it be now be available to a potential match on the app? I know it's easy. I can always go to LinkedIn and check someone out. If they were saying they're interested in me and they're a doctor, I could always go check myself. But that's where you come in. So this information, will it be available to be seen, say maybe on the interface to a potential match?
Yes, so we have different classifications within the app. Or preferences rather. What sort of religion are you looking for? Where do you work? What do you do? What is your position? What is your preference when it comes to kids? There's a ton of questions that you would have to tick and fill in. And that gives the person that is potentially going to match with you an opportunity to have a full rounded view on who you are. What is your professional space like? What are your preferences? It puts you in a better position to actually find someone that you really want to be with, And we've really gone into extensive market research on what do people want to be asking this partner, or even before you have a first conversation, what do you want to know about your partner, and what does that look like for both genders, being male and female? What does that look like for a male person or a female person? What are they looking for? And it's also not just aimless dating, where you are going to just be swiping on someone and then not really have a reason on why you're swiping. It needs to go beyond just looks, how do you see this long term? Does this even make sense for you to swipe on this person? Or is it some sort of gamification now with the dating apps where you're like, swipe left, swipe right, swipe left, swipe right, So we're really trying to make it less aimless, and aimed at a specific person, and for a specific reason. And that's one of the advantages of utilizing Boardroom and why it makes us different. So it's advanced filtering, it's the rigorous background checks, it's knowing that you're not just going to be logging on and having a million people that have swiped on you. And then it's also ghosting culture, because now I've swiped on you because it was gamified, but actually nothing really interests me here. So we're also trying to eliminate that.
So this is so brilliant. And with regards now to safety issues, now that we have been accepted, we have been vetted, we are in the app, probably identified someone I could be interested in, or they are interested in me. Are there any policies, those terms and conditions that would now govern us as participants of the platform? In order to be able to be compliant, to not say, use abusive language, for example, a space where I can maybe go lodge a complaint if I felt like the conduct of my potential match maybe was way out of order. Is there such a thing?
Yeah, so we're currently training AI to be able to pick up on these things, but we do have community standards. So no threats, hate speech, vulgar language, bullying, impersonation, harassment. So there's an option to report via the app, so to report a specific user, and then we will then go in to see, what exactly has transpired. You can also block them if necessary. So if you feel like they are going against morals, beliefs, any of that, you are able to block them. But because we're building around creating a safe space, training an AI machine is definitely along the lines of where we're going. So it's able to pick up on vulgar language or pick up on a specific threat, or hate speech or harassment in any way. And the chances of actually having impersonation is quite low because of our rigorous vetting process, because we're going to look at, do the profile pictures match? Do the emails match? So you can't pretend to be somebody else. It's going to be fully on your LinkedIn. And if your LinkedIn is a new LinkedIn and it's not showing much, we're also not going to accept. We are less about quantity and more about quality. So it's important for us to look at the caliber of individual that's going to be on the platform, more than how many people can we get on. It's not about that. It's about the quality of people.
I see. This is interesting. We've heard of cases of people who put on maybe other dating apps and things like that, even on Facebook or whatever, they put a picture of someone else, just to lure maybe that person. And when they eventually meet, it's a totally different person. So this is
Different person.
Yeah. I think they call it catfishing. Yeah. Amazing.
We've completely eliminated that from the equation just with the vetting process, And I also think when people think about what are the differentiating factors with Boardroom, we're really trying to put in effort to make it a space that is safe. We want to make sure that the LinkedIn verification is something that's for the safety of the users, and that provides an additional layer of security. We want to make sure that we're catering to professionals. So we want to understand the importance of connecting like-minded professionals who are busy and value their time. So they want to make it we want to make it easier for them to meet others with similar goals and interests.
Yes.
And invite only membership. So we're gonna be prioritizing quality 100%, and ensuring that the community consists of individuals who are genuinely interested in less hookup, but more about building meaningful relationships. And it's a deliberate approach. So when you actually like someone on the app and you're going to swipe right, for example, you have to leave a comment. So you're not just going to swipe and leave it there. You have to leave a comment on why you're swiping. And we've had a couple of individuals say, but it's a little bit awkward. Like, I don't know what to say. But it also becomes an icebreaker. And it encourages genuine conversation rather than like, okay, I'm just going to swipe because you're cute or because you're pretty or handsome. I'm just going to keep swiping. So we're taking that away and saying, be deliberate, We're also looking at an age category of at least over 21. And we're looking at that because your mindset is completely different dating at 18 to when you're dating at 30. I mean, when I was 18, it was not the same as me thinking, okay, right now I'm looking for a partner long term. I'm looking for someone to build with. Time is money. I'm not going to go on 5 dates just because I feel like dinner tonight. I'm going to actually go on a date because there's interest with this specific individual.
I like that because, you could just be genuine. I think that's where it's that. I could swipe and leave a message to say it's because I've always wanted to date an accountant, or I've always wanted to date a banker.
Yes.
Or I need to interact with the banker. I need to interact with a numbers person. I mean, that's good reason enough, because of course I don't know that person. I just know what they do for a living, and perhaps their interests and their religion and things like that. But I want to date a numbers person. then I think that's reason enough if that person would be interested,
Yeah, 100%. We all have our preferences, and we've just added an additional layer to those preferences spaces being the
Yeah.
professional space.
Yeah. That's quite interesting. It is a differentiator. And how do you generate a revenue for the boardroom?
So it is subscription based.
Okay.
So we have free versions as well.
Okay.
But we have Boardroom Gold, Boardroom Executive. You're able to purchase roses. You're able to boost your account within app. But it's also free should you not want any of those additional um, services like seeing who liked you or priority likes or advanced filtering, then you don't have to purchase it.
Yeah.
There's additional things like spotlighting your profile or 3 boosts or roses, whatever that might be,
Yeah.
as additional features and services within the app. You don't have to. So you can
Mm,
just download it and utilize the free version, but you're not going to get the full features of everybody that's on the platform, or a certain amount of swipes, for example. It might be limiting to a certain
I
degree.
see. I see. Okay. And does your footprint expand to other countries other than South Africa?
So we've actually only been around for a month, so it's
Yes.
been incredible to see
Yeah.
News 24 and 702 and
Yes,
94.7,
you
and now
guys have
with
been
you
so
on this
busy.
platform. And it's only
Yeah.
been a month, and
Yeah.
we had a viral tweet with my co-founder Wasani that had
Yeah.
over 5 million impressions. And that
Wow.
resulted in over 6,000 downloads. But from those 6,000 downloads, we only accepted, I think it was 1.5, or might be a bit less.
Okay.
Because, like I said, we're not about the quantity, we're about the
Yeah.
quality. So currently, we are looking to launch in the 3 major cities, being Johannesburg, Durban, and Cape Town. And that we're looking to do by the end of Q4 2023.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Q1 2024 next year, our first go to market outside of Africa is the UK.
Okay.
And then thereafter, the US. So the US is going to be quite the big one for us. And the UK, I was in the UK last year for about 3 months, part of an incubation program
Yeah.
with my first startup, Lawyered Up. And I've realized, just based on market research, and everything that we're doing is based on market research. I mean, we're not just sitting around just trying to figure it out. We're really trying to use stats and market research that does exist to better our user journey and go to market. So I looked at the adoption of applications in the UK, and it seems to be quite high.
Okay.
And just based on that specific stat, I do think that the UK could be a good market to enter. And
Yeah.
second to that is just being in a space like Canary Wharf, for example. There's so many corporations within that space, which is our direct target market. And just like a lot of investment bankers or lawyers or accountants or people within the finance space, people within the creative space as well,
Yeah.
don't have a lot of time to be going out and socializing. So I'm hoping that this could be more than just a dating app. It could also just be a connecting place for professionals, for like
Yeah.
minded people that would like to have a drink, but have a conversation that's meaningful while having a drink,
Yeah.
or have a coffee, or maybe a run or a walk. I mean, it could be anything. Not every relationship has to be one that is to
Romantic.
date and to
Yeah.
marry. It could
Yes.
be
Yeah.
100%. It doesn't have to be romantic. It could really just be a genuinely nice friend that you have similarities with. And that
Yeah.
is more than something that we're trying to push as well.
Wow.
So, yeah, and then the big one for us would be the US, which has also been quite the exciting
Yeah.
experience, just doing the research in and around what that looks like for us. And
Yeah.
that would probably be towards the end of 2024 or mid 2024. But within the African continent, Nigeria is also on the table. A lot of business individuals within the tech space as well that have given us good insight into the market. And it's a big market, right? So
Yeah.
we're trying to look at spaces that is going to make sense we do know that adoption of technology within the African continent is definitely growing.
Yes.
So we're hoping to be part of that growth within the online dating space.
Yeah. This is so interesting and exciting, and talking about the UK and their quick adoption of this digital platforms and technology. And now looking back home here in Africa, of course, we are always being told time and again how we are lagging behind as Africa, especially now, even in the advent of AI. Will we ever catch up? And of course, we have our own, challenges. But when you look, being an entrepreneur in the tech space, when you look at the adoption of these digital platforms and the usage in Africa, how is it? How is the outlook? Honestly, is it so really so bad, or are we getting there?
So I think digital platform usage in Africa is definitely on the rise. I mean, the narrative of Africa lagging behind is changing. More people are using smartphones, gaining internet access, which has boosted e-commerce, digital banking, growth of tech startups within the African continent. And while there's still, prominent challenges in rural areas like limited internet access, I do think that it's becoming a promising market for innovation as well as investment within the African context.
Yeah.
Like in general, I think it's expanding, and it's incredible to see the developments that are coming about within the African context. I've been a mentor for the last year, and I've been mentoring different types of startups in different industries all across the African continent. And some of the ideas that I've been hearing is absolutely incredible. It is mind blowing. It is all around, circular economy and sustainability, and what does that look like for Africa. And I'm so blessed and grateful to have exposure like I do, and to be surrounded by such incredible humans.
Yeah, I feel like, yes, there's a shift that is happening. Before, if a person had Wi-Fi, they were lucky. Now almost everyone has Wi-Fi. People are using smartphones, as you say. Technology adoption is and innovation is great in countries like Kenya. We now are seeing the rollout of high-speed internets and all of that. So I feel like also I agree with you. We are really catching up, and we might not catch up in comparison with the developed world, but I feel like we are moving at that pace where it's not so gloomy and we are not doomed. I feel like we are getting there. We are getting there. Exciting things happening, such as the Boardroom app. As we approach the final stretch of the year, it is essential to reflect on how business has been. But it is also important to remember that success is not always measured by immediate results. So, as we reflect in this fourth quarter of the year, it is imperative to re-evaluate our business strategies accordingly and set achievable goals for the upcoming year to adjust our approach with the insights we have gained throughout the year. If you need to embark on a dynamic process of re-evaluating your business strategy to gear up for the upcoming year and need a committed team behind you, contact us at info@meshconsulting.co.za or visit our website meshconsulting.co.za. And earlier you spoke of how you work with your co-founder. He's the man behind, creating the app and writing the app and everything, and working together as co-founders. Did you ever have disagreements on work? And if so, how did you overcome those?
So, a very fun question,
Yeah.
considering I come from a previous startup.
Yeah.
And I must admit, this journey with Wisani has
Mm.
been so seamless, has been absolutely incredible. I do not have the stresses that came about in my first startup. And my first startup being Lloyd Up, there were so many pain points that
Mm.
I looked at, I had to, sort of recover from. And I said, this is how I don't want to do things in the next one. And this is how I'm going to handle the things that didn't work with the first one, with the second one.
Mm.
And I think with every entrepreneurship journey, you've got to just go to school. Like you've got to go to school and you've got to learn
Yeah.
and you've got to pay for school fees, as they
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
and you've got to pay the price of learning and growing. If you are not embarrassed with your first startup on
Mm.
what it looked like, how you started, how terrible that first post was, or MVP version, then you went to market way too late. And
Yeah.
I can tell you, it has been a horrific journey of losses, of terrible co founders, of
Mm.
people that have left the business and have lost money and have changed. And it's been horrible.
Yeah.
But in that horrible points, I had to look at how do I better this?
Mm.
Entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. The amount of grit that you need to have to
Yeah.
continue every day, despite how much you're making and the challenges it comes with. Um, I had to look at ways to better it, whether it be online research, startup schools, incubators and accelerators, mentorships, advice from other founders within the startup ecosystem, both
Yeah.
local as well as international.
Mm-hmm.
And you've just got to take advice and keep moving forward. And this time round with Boardroom, I mean, it's taken me 3 years with
Yeah.
Lloyd Up to get to a fully working MVP. Still
Mm-hmm.
revenue generating, very blessed and grateful. But with Boardroom, it's taken us 6 months
Yeah.
and we're completely just boosting away. And I guess that could also be the appetite for something a little bit more fun,
Yeah.
like online dating for
Yeah.
professionals.
Yes.
Whereas Lloyd Up may have been a little bit more of a harder pill to swallow, especially being involved with gender based violence and access to legal and creating job opportunities and economic
Mm.
growth.
Mm-hmm.
So, there could be various factors that have influenced the boosting of Boardroom. But when
Yeah.
it comes to my co-founder and I, it has been really, really good to find someone that fits so well within a tech role. And then you get me that's fitting well within that CEO role.
Yes.
And if you combine those two, you're destined for success. And a lot of co founders in the tech space
Yeah.
often don't realize the success rate of having tech co founder,
Mm-hmm.
business minded co founder.
Uh-huh.
And it's been such a great match moving into the space with him.
You complement each other well.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And it feels so refreshing to be
Yeah.
involved with someone that you're not having to run after. Like,
Yeah.
hey, have you done this? When is it going to be ready? You said 2 months and it's still not done. Have you done the App Store application? Have you
Mm-hmm.
done iOS registration? And it's just been so great to know that I don't have to ask. I
Yeah.
say I'm going to do something and we do it. And he
Mm-hmm.
says he's going to do something and he does it.
He does it.
So just having someone that is as invested and is there to back you and to just be that support is making this journey an incredible journey for me.
And earlier you mentioned you had to educate yourself, you had to do the work. You mentioned attending accelerator or ATA programs. Did you attend those here at home or abroad?
So both. So I have been in a international incubator based in London.
Yeah.
And then I've also been in a couple of local incubators, some that were women-centric, some that were accelerators, some within the French space as well.
Oh, yes.
And I must admit that the women centric accelerators and incubators have been my absolute favorite, because the type of support that you are needing as a female tech founder is very different to what a male tech founder's support looks like. It is something that is very male dominated, but is starting to change. We also find that females come with way more responsibility as time goes. I mean, kids, marriage, different types of commitments that men may not have. So the stress that we are going through, not necessarily me, I don't have any of it besides my dog, who's my child. um, it, it has been different support. There's women that come to the incubator saying, I had to be on a call with my kid while speaking to you guys today because I have to look after my kid. And I'm so sorry I had to jump off, but please can you send me the recording because my child was crying? Or I have to get home because there's certain responsibilities that I need to do, or I need to pick my kid, or whatever that might be, where some males do, and I'm not saying that it isn't their stress, but statistically, it is more women that are going to have to deal with the issues that I'm vocalizing in this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's been really great to have women support and leveraging off each other's strengths. Let's cry if we want to cry. You can't necessarily do that with like in a male incubator that's mixed. You want to still try and have a bit more of a hard hat on, where we actually are feminine and we're soft, and that's just who we are as women. And I think being in the tech space has made me less feminine to a certain degree. I had to majority of the tech people that I've worked with were males. So I had to put on this hard hat and be like, okay, this is what I need to do. And this is who you are, Serisha. And you've got to go into this room and you've got to sell who you are and what you're trying to impact and how you're going to do that to majority of the time males. And it comes with a certain degree of courage. And I had to just learn that along the way. There were some moments where I felt completely discouraged and like I was not good enough. And now I'm at the stage of I am in this room because I deserve to be here. And I've worked hard to be here. And I just hope that with my voice and my vision and who I am becoming within the tech space on the African continent, that I'm able to inspire many other women to take that journey. And that's why I've gone into the mentoring space as well, to say, well, I'm able to give you my time. Sometimes I do it pro bono, where if I think it's a really good idea and it's a female founder, I really just want to guide my mistakes and how I think it could be better, or who I could introduce to them. And that's just what business is about. It's completely about collaboration. There's no competition in my space. And it's been liberating to become who I envision myself to be, and now finally becoming that. And it's taken years.
Yeah. Wow. And this is beautiful app. That's all we see. We are not in the tech space. We might not quite fully understand the work, that went behind it.
Yeah.
Now, when you were at that stage, now the final stage, you and Wisani, now to submit your application to app stores, how is the process like? How was your experience? Are they with timelines, waiting and to get approved? How does it work?
Okay, so I think just both being from the tech space, it's
Mm.
something that we have extensive knowledge on. So pretty much
Mm.
standard procedure that
Okay.
we've experienced with the app stores. But Apple is more rigorous than Google.
Mhm.
Um, but they do have a supportive process and they want you to succeed. So same pretty much vetting process across both iOS and Android, and it was seamless for us, to be honest. It's something that we're used to doing,
Yeah.
um, and it was something that Wasani took on his side to go and apply for the app stores and make sure that we were
Yeah.
given the platform to
Yeah.
execute
Yeah.
Boardroom on.
Yeah. And what has your greatest lesson been like from this journey? What have you learned so far?
Sure.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
I feel like that is an entire conversation by itself.
Yeah.
But what have I learned thus far? I would definitely say that entrepreneurship is a lonely journey.
Hmm.
People might disagree with what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but it's lonely because as you get older, friends are getting married and
Mm.
having kids and getting engaged and celebrating birthdays, and there's all of these things that you would love to be there,
Yeah.
and you want to give that time to people that matter to you. But then there also comes a time where you've got to now fill your cup and you're
Mm.
like, okay, but if I go out for these next 2 to 3 hours and hypothetically I have about two or three drinks, then I'm having to recover from those two or three drinks, and then the next day I am now not able to fully commit to work because I'm tired, because I can't give, and that puts everything a day behind, and putting things a day behind puts me in a position of panic, and now I'm in a panic and I don't know how to deal with life and its stresses that it comes with, because it work starts to pile up. And I've
Yeah.
realized that you do have to cut back on that, so it does make the entrepreneurship journey lonely. And
Yeah.
when you see these quotes saying it's lonely at the top, it
Yeah.
really is lonely as you keep growing up that ladder. And so that's the one thing that I've definitely learned to accept.
Mm.
And I do hope that, in time, I'm able to give more to those that matter to me, including a relationship.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, and the second thing to that is grit and resilience.
Mhm.
I had moments of not knowing where my next paycheck was going to come from,
Mhm.
not having money for rent, not having money for food, having to have noodles and sprinkling cheese and calling it gourmet, and having to continue just
Hmm.
working and keep pushing. And it
Yes.
comes with an enormous amount of grit. If
Hmm.
if you do not have passion and purpose integrated into what you are trying to get into the market, especially from an African context, because there's so many issues and problems that I would hope to find solutions to.
Mm.
You're
Mm.
not going to make it through. It's
Mm.
you are not going to be able to wake up and not feel crippled. There were definitely tremendous amount of moments where I could not wake up and I was in the worst mental state.
Yeah.
I lost a partner that mattered so much to me. I
Hmm.
lost friends. I then lost my grandmother. I then didn't have financial stability. I had people leave the organization with Lloyd up. I didn't know what I was doing. And
Yeah.
trying to get yourself out of that dark space was very difficult. And at that point, I was like, you know what? All I have is God, and what's
Hmm.
meant for me is never going to pass me, and I'm just going to keep going. And I kept going and I kept applying for programs and learning
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
educating myself and getting more involved with the tech stack and understanding it more, so that I can also be vigilant on who I'm bringing in within the different organizations from a
Yeah.
tech perspective. And I didn't want
Yeah.
to get taken advantage of. So I
Hmm.
had to continuously learn and grow.
Yeah.
So learning all the way, you are going to learn till the very end. And if you're not continuously learning, then you're
Hmm.
going to fall behind. And it's okay to be lonely in your building. And those that
Yeah.
matter will still be there when you're ready to come out of that shell.
Yes.
And those that don't will fall off the side. And sometimes it's for a reason.
Yeah.
We might not realize it, but everything happens for a reason, and it is all perfectly placed at its most perfect timing. And that's just what I've tried to believe for the last couple of years.
Yeah. Wow. Serisha, I fully agree, and thank you for those pearls of wisdom and advising aspiring entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who are on their respective journeys that are listening to this podcast. I was listening to the founder of Airbnb, Brian Chesky. Now, when you talk about how lonely entrepreneurship can be, he was saying totally in agreement with you that it was so lonely. Not that he didn't have family, not that he didn't have friends. I mean, people he grew up with, people he went to school with, but those people could not understand what he was going through. Because I'm sure with you, when you say, looking back, when you had to eat noodles and sprinkle with cheese, I mean, people who know you would say, Serisha, you are so educated. You can go find a job. You do not have to be doing this, and that's when a person usually can easily give up. So he was saying, eventually he learned to find friendships, not to say those people are not his friends anymore, but to find sort of a fellowship with someone who has a common problem. That would be a fellow entrepreneur or a fellow founder or somebody who's starting their business. That way, they would understand when they're saying, listen, my cash flow is on the negative. Things are not looking up. That person would understand and they would help each other, get out of that hole that you mentioned. And thank you so much for what you've just told us. It's really encouraging.
Thank you.
And in closing, Serisha, do you have a favorite book or a book that was pivotal in your journey in general that you can share with us?
Yes. So it was a book written by David Goggins, and it is called Can't Hurt Me. And, it's it might resonate with some, but it may not resonate with everyone. And it resonated with me because he spoke about personal and professional success. And the book emphasizes mental toughness. And with everything that I've gone through with my personal life, with business, with loss, with being abused by someone that my mom was previously married to, it was just, I didn't know how to get out of my space.
Yeah.
But all I knew is that I wanted to impact and I wanted to create awareness around what occurred. And when reading this book, it spoke about toughness and pushing one's limit and looking at breaking through barriers and reaching your full potential. And the one thing in the book that stood out for me was he made mention to a 40% rule. And that suggests that when you think you've hit your limit and you're now happy, you're like, yes, today I've sent out 20 emails and I've hit my investor list and I've gotten in some investment now and I can expand and things are great. You've only achieved 40%, which suggests that you have to dig deeper and you've got to push beyond your perceived boundaries, because 40% is only what you perceive as I've reached, this is great, everything is amazing. But actually, it's only what you perceive. But so take that perception as only 40%. And the other thing that I took away from this book was accountability. He stresses the importance of taking personal responsibility for one's life and choices. So why did I go through the things that I went through? And like you made mention to, you have 2 degrees. Why did you need to eat noodles when you could have just gone, Serisha, and gotten a job? So I had to take accountability for the personal choices that I've made in my life and why it's led me to this point. But because I strongly believe in passion and purpose and wanting to help other women get out of the space that my mom and I were in, and other women get into the space that I'm now currently in, I had to continue going. And that comes with school fees, that comes with having to learn as you go. And how true growth and transformation occurs when individuals hold themselves accountable. So even if I look back at why my last relationship didn't work, I hold myself accountable for not showing up as a good partner. And you cannot expect a good partner if you yourself is not a good partner. If you are not giving to a relationship and you're fully just focused on work, that's not a bad thing. But then just don't be in a relationship, because you can't expect to have someone make you a priority in their lives when they have work too, if you cannot give what you're expecting. So be accountable and perceive everything that you're doing at 40%, and continue pushing harder. Yeah.
Wow.
Nothing can hurt me right now. I feel like life has thrown a lot at me.
Can't hurt me. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been so eye-opening, and I will see you on the boardroom. Thank you so much for coming to the Mesh podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for listening to our show this week. If you enjoy our show and would like to support us, help us by spreading the word. Tell your friends about Mesh and engage on social media. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Our handle is @Mesh Podcast. Mesh My Entrepreneurship Journey on LinkedIn. If you would like to engage with us privately, drop us an email at defuo@meshpodcast.com. Remember, we are available and streaming wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Defuo Machele, and you've been listening to My Entrepreneurship Journey.